Thank you very much, Don. So I'll give you my quick intro. I've been in IT in some form or fashion for over 35 plus years. As she said, I am president of the FBI InfraGuard chapter, so if there's any cybersecurity questions you have, you can definitely reach out to me as well as reach out to the FBI. And I'm also a board talk member, and my day job is with Aegon Transamerica, doing cybersecurity work, and that's my former life. Now I have a team of consultants, and we do data analytics and analysis. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my illustrious panel up here, and I'm going to let Jay Rollins introduce himself and talk about what he does on a daily basis.
Hi, my name's Jay Rollins. I'm originally from the Boston area. I moved to Louisville in 2004. I started my company CloudNexus in 2010. We started off as doing managed services, but the nature of our clients being healthcare, legal, and financial, we ended up building a security practice before it was a thing. So we've been positioned pretty well. Can't hear me? So we've been positioned pretty well to provide security services, and we've evolved our model, not just managed services, but trying to provide a cybersecurity focus on those managed services. I've been in IT since 1995 when I was working for the military, and I was in the military prior, so that's my background.
Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. Mr. Colin, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Colin Grover, CISA.
I'm not a loud talker, so hopefully everybody can hear me. So I work for the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. We were in the news quite a bit last year during the election, so a lot of fun during that. So last year, 2020, Congress signed the National Defense Authorization Act. They sign one every year. And under this Authorization Act, they determined that we needed to put a cybersecurity advisor and cybersecurity coordinator in every state. So I am that person for Kentucky. I got here in June and am trying to assist mostly governments, but also critical infrastructure partners. So if you're a private sector partner involved in critical infrastructure of some sort, and I'll describe that in a little bit, we can provide assistance in quite a few services. So my background's out of the military and out of the intelligence community, and I worked for a small cybersecurity company before coming on board here. So glad to be here.
All right, thank you very much. Our topic, just to make sure you're in the right place, even though you only had two choices, is zero trust. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Colin. He's got a presentation. I believe you guys are going to tag team on, but he's going to give us some information about what you're doing on every day with CISA. So go ahead, Colin.
So we'll keep this pretty high level and pretty quick. So how many people have actually heard of CISA? If y'all can hear me. I see 2, maybe 3. All right. Yeah. I apologize. Is that better?
That's better.
All right. So CISA is part of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It was founded in 2018. It came out of another DHS department. So one of the cool things about CISA, and what I like to talk about, is the fact that all of our services are taxpayer funded. So we offer a lot of no additional cost to use services, as you've already paid for it with your taxpayer dollars, which is helpful. All right, so I talked about this a second ago. Again, my primary focus is state and local government, but we do a lot of work with the private sector. You see here 16 critical infrastructure areas. If you can fit your business into that, then we can provide services to you. Some of the smaller retail we may not be able to figure out, but just about everybody else I can bend into a critical infrastructure sector and provide some level of service to. We don't build networks, I'll throw that out there. All right, service-wise, so a big thing that we try to do is get left to boom, and really the ZTA helps on that. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, all those cliches you can come up with. Once you get hit with ransomware, oftentimes it's way too late. There's not much anybody can do for you if you don't have backups and if it's good ransomware. If it's good encryption, you're up the creek. You're either going to pay or lose your data. There's nothing else than that. So ideally, we'll get out to you beforehand and identify any of those issues before it becomes an issue. So take advantage of it. We offer strategic assessments where we come out, spend some time with you, 4 to 8 hours, non-technical, survey-based. And then we offer a majority of technical assessments, which is vulnerability scanning, phishing campaigns. The external vulnerability scanning, it's no touch, that's uncredentialed, they're just going to scan your external IP spaces. You get a weekly report. Again, no cost. And then we go all the way up to a full-scale pen test, which will include social engineering, can include Wi-Fi testing, and will put a box on your network to imitate a compromised machine for a full-scale pen test. That takes about 2 years to get signed up for. It's done by our headquarters team. I think we did 42 last year nationwide. So if it's something you'd be interested in, go ahead and get signed up for it now, and then by the time you're ready, they'll be ready for you. We do have an incident response team, some of the best guys in the nation. Unfortunately, they also do federal incident response, so they are busy. They'll try to get to you if they can, if they have the resources, but between SolarWinds, Exchange, COVID, things like that, they don't have a lot of resources. If you have an incident, contact me, contact the state, contact InfraGard, contact somebody, and we'll try to get resources out to you, whether it's me coming out and trying to hold your hand or trying to get somebody on site to actually help. Advice and consulting, training, we'll come out and provide training, whether it's just a standard user awareness training, or one thing that we just got yesterday is workshops. It's a half day, train the trainer, where we'll kind of go through a process with you so that you can take what we know and use it locally. Exercises, big proponent of exercises. We also do physical security. There is a physical security advisor here in the state, Kyle Wolf. So something like insider threat or active shooter or other physical security things, as well as cybersecurity, to walk through an incident response exercise with you and your team. All right. So again, I mentioned some of these assessments. Everybody wants the pen test. If you're interested in the pen test, we also do a remote pen test. It's just external. They just try to pop in from the outside. They don't pivot anywhere. It's just to see if you're vulnerable that route. Again, phishing campaign's great. Vulnerability scanning. Yep. Cyber hygiene. I'm going to hit on this again. If you're at all interested, please sign up for the program. It's free. You'll get a report if there's any issues. Anybody here familiar with Shodan? Shodan? Shodan.io. Shodan.io is, they call themselves the Google for web services, something like that. Google for IoT. And it's a free source, free web resource, Shodan.io. You can go on Google right now. You can go to your web browser and go to it. And you can look for various things on the internet, publicly exposed things. And so if you get bored, you can run a search for port 3389. Port 3389 is Microsoft's remote desktop protocol. You can limit it to Kentucky. If you do that, you're going to find several thousand open RDP sessions on the internet. What that means is I can sit at home and just start hitting your computer. So what this vulnerability scanning does is going to look for issues like that. If you have Telnet open, if you're using default creds on an SSH server, things like that, so you can shut it down and go that route. It's also going to look for external vulnerabilities and things like that. I think I saw several dozen folks that still have eternal blue vulnerabilities, which was a patch that came out in 2017. So people, again, great resource. Please take advantage of it. The assessments I do, so again, the technical assessments, those are done by our headquarters elements. They take between a couple weeks to 2 years to get scheduled. Great resource though. The on-site assessments, which are listed up here, are ones that I can do here locally, or I can bring in folks to help out with it. It takes between 4 and 8 hours to do, and just can be done pretty quickly. If you've never done a security program, if you haven't done a framework, if you're not familiar with that whole concept, start with one of these. Build your security program, then go to those technical assessments. If you just start doing the technical assessments, it's a snapshot. It's not going to help you out much. Building your security program the right way and then going to these technical assessments is our recommended method. I'm not going to bore you with all of these, but they're pretty interesting. The EDM, just to throw it out there, this is looking at your supply chain, not only your vendor supply chain or consultants, but as well as looking at any public utilities you may be dependent on to understand where your weak points are. Cyber Infrastructure Survey, this is a great tool. It's a pretty lightweight survey, but what's neat is it will, we anonymize all your data. We don't actually collect anything, so it's all protected under law, which is good. But this allows you to see how you compare with industry competitors or folks of your similar size. Let's skip that. Anybody that belongs to a public sector entity should join MS-ISAC, multi-state ISAC. Again, free resource. It's funded by DHS, but it gives you a lot of great tools. It provides some of the same capabilities I do, including incident response, and again, free resource. If you're a member of another industry sector, if you're a university, you can join REN ISAC. If you're automotive, I think you can join GM ISAC. There's dozens of them out there. Most of them are free, which provides some great resources, as well as joining InfraGard, which everybody should do. Now I'm going to hit this, and this is my last bullet that transitions to zero trust. We're working on that, yes.
So the idea would be that the cycle of 2 years should be shared in the next year, correct?
Yes.
Yes, so there should be an opportunity that's really to use these services, and it's for any business, about to small business?
So any business that's involved in critical infrastructure. Sure. Well, let's start with your first question. Can you say your first?
So, yes.
Yeah.
So will the people in this room be able to work with you and get an assessment quicker? Because my understanding is that every state will now have someone like you, and that means the cycle of 2 years should be shortened probably in the next 6 or 12 months to maybe, what 7 or 8 months, something like that.
Sorry. So the pen test, just the pen test assessment, has a 2-year waiting period. The pen tests are being conducted by our national level team. And so the question was, will we be able to do more pen tests? Right now, we're not able to do pen tests here locally. That's out. I mean, if somebody asks, I might, but that's going to be coordinated from a national team. And so that cycle still, and they're just overwhelmed. Like I said, last year we did 40. We're having several hundred requests come in a year. So they're racking and stacking and doing as quick as they can. But it was 18 months, 6 months ago. Now we're at 2 years. So hopefully we'll get some more resources and can do it more quickly.
And I just want to point out too, I'm sorry.
Go, please.
All the technical assessments they do can be found on the market as well. It's just
Yep.
Don't do it for free.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
I don't do it for free.
So again, all of our, if you're interested in getting a pen test today, you're going to want to go to the commercial market. And they are very, very good. No doubt about that. And you can kind of use this as, one of those, you should change from time to time to get different viewpoints on things. So going with commercial and public and back and forth is a good way to do business as well. Any of the strategic assessments, again, these are all available in the commercial market or very similar. But any of these, you can contact me today and we could get them scheduled in the next month.
And then I wanted you to perhaps define better for our audience what an ISAC is.
Sure. So the ISAC, let me see if I can find it. All right, well, I'll start there. So the ISAC is run under the ISAL program, the Information Sharing Alliance organization, I think, out of University of Texas, San Antonio. I had to look all this stuff the other day. And so the ISAC is an information sharing community. Each ISAC may have different offerings under it, what they can and cannot do. Again, for us, we push the MS ISAC, which has all these various offerings. So you can see a little bit better. That didn't work at all. That didn't help.
I'll be right back.
I'm not sure what we did.
Did you change screens?
No, I just hit the present button. Typical.
He was on HDMI 1, right?
I'm good now.
You good? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
It was just throwing a fit. Maybe. All right. So anyways, ISACs, the whole purpose of an ISAC is to provide a community of interest where information and resources can be shared. The majority of them, if not all of them, are nonprofit. Some of them may have a fee associated with them. Some of them do not. Again, there are various ISACs depending on your industry and location. Again, as well as InfraGuard, which is a great resource. And there's also the Kentucky Cyber Threat Working Group for critical infrastructure partners as well.
The one thing I would add to that is he talked about a number of the services. I would definitely connect with CISA, Department of Homeland Security, and your Fusion Center, which is the Office of Homeland Security here in Kentucky, because they also offer training. There will be many opportunities. I've had a chance to sit in on CISA trainings because there wasn't enough federal people to attend. And so you get in and do some things like how to physically identify threats. You know, whether is that really a FedEx man or is that somebody who's looking like a FedEx man who is casing the joint or casing the area for some type of terrorist activity. That's some of the training that you have an opportunity to take advantage of. So I definitely would make a connection with those folks.
Yeah, and as mentioned, there's also a physical security advisor here in the state. And his goal is, as it says, a physical security who will come out to your location and take a look at that, as well as make recommendations and provide physical security training. I know there's a big focus on counter IED as well as active shooter training at this point.
Any other questions before we get started on Zero Trust? None? All right. I'm going to talk about what Zero Trust means to me. And again, I've been at this game for quite a while. I remember when we first started talking about Zero Trust at my organization, it was about trust but verify. And so we had ways of using network access controls and setting up rings of security where you could get on and be trusted. And then as soon as you did something risky, we bumped you to the next subnet that had less access. So meaning you might still be able to use your business applications, but you're no longer able to access the internet, for example. I think that technology's changed. And so I want to pivot to, I'm gonna let whichever one of you guys wanna go first to talk to us about what Zero Trust means to you.
Jay?
Sure. You know, I've been in the business quite a while too, and the more I look into the term Zero Trust, I see a lot of the, it's an evolution, right? So, and especially working with smaller businesses. You know, when I work for the federal government or large companies like Churchill or Trilogy or something like that, it was a different scope to everything. But as dealing with smaller businesses, we still go down the path of encrypting the data. We encrypt the backups, so this is all part of Zero Trust, but also network segmentation. The challenges I tend to have tend to be more around policy, procedure, and how to manage the people aspect of it or the social aspect of it. I mean, controlling the data. Yeah, we can encrypt the data, we can protect the data, but when you're dealing with smaller businesses, there's a lot of people, like on HIPAA, you're only supposed to have access to data that you need to do your job. But it gets really squishy sometimes, so you really have, sometimes it's open. And can you be open to a fine because someone has access to data that they don't have? Yes, you can. They're not doing that now, yet, but it's definitely a possibility. So Zero Trust for me is, you know, it all started doing endpoint protection, and that wasn't enough. And you had to move inside. I mean, we do stuff now for smaller businesses, now that it's more affordable, is we can look at behavior. We capture logs from all the different systems that are on the network. We analyze it, we alert on it, and it's a lot more affordable than it was just 5 years ago. So, and we use open source for a lot of that stuff. So,
thank you. Colin, Zero Trust, what's it mean to you?
So I Googled the other day, and there's an old Far Side commercial, old Far Side cartoon, and it's got two polar bears standing around an igloo, and the caption is crunchy on the outside, chewy in the middle. And, you know, for years and years, we've really kind of tried to push defenses at the boundary or at the endpoint and things of that nature, and it just hasn't worked. We have to accept that we're going to have laptops, we're going to have desktops compromised. And if those systems are compromised and on the network, can we stop the attacker